Oh, hey guys, I didn't see you there. It's August the 4th, and it's time to harvest our Concord grapes so that we can make some homemade Concord grape juice. This is the key ingredient right here. So I'm going to harvest a few more, but as you can see, we've got quite a few here. Come on in for a closer look. As you can see, I've pretty much picked all of the ones that are ripe. Well, now it's just a matter of going inside and canning these grapes. Let's go inside. Alright, I think I've assembled everything I'm going to need for this canning project. I have my hot water bath canner. I've got a dozen quart-size mason ball jars. I've got the canning set that has all of the tools I think I'm going to need. And I have the most important thing here, and that is the Concord grapes that I just harvested from my vines. So, first order of business, I'm going to wash these grapes, and then we're going to sterilize these jars. So, let's get with it here. So, I've filled up my bowl with some cold water, and now I'm just going to add a couple splashes of distilled white vinegar, just as a treatment for anything that might be on the grapes. And we're just going to work that in and around. Let that set for a little bit while I clean my mason jars. Before I move on to washing my mason jars, I'm just going to work that distilled white vinegar in and around these grapes. Just give them a nice little quick bath. I'm looking for any stems that I may have missed. I failed to mention earlier that the reason why I added that distilled vinegar in the water when washing the grapes is that it kills 98% of any bacteria that might be growing on the outside surface of the grapes. So now it's just a matter of rinsing it with some cold water, getting that vinegar off of there. Also looking for any stems that I might have left. Also looking for any bad grapes that we need to remove. Alright, next step, filling up the hot water bath canner with some water so that we can sterilize the mason jars that I just cleaned with hot soapy water. This might be overkill, but there's no sense in risking any contamination here. Alright, it sounds like our water is at a boil now, so I'm going to set my kitchen timer for 10 minutes. And when the 10 minutes is up, our mason jars will be sterile. And then we'll move on to the next process, so stay tuned. Alright, our 10 minutes are up. And our jars should be sterile. Just use the jar lifter now to lift them up and out. We'll let those cool, and then I'm going to empty the jars, and then we will fill them back up with our recipe, which calls for 1 cup grapes, whole grapes, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and hot water. And then we're going to put them back into our canner and let them can for probably 25 minutes, just to be on the safe side, after we've put the lids that we're going to warm up in this pot over here. We'll put the lids on, tighten the rings just hand tight. But I'll go over that again here in just a minute, so stay tuned. All right guys, the fun begins now. Now we start putting the ingredients in the jars that have been sterilized. So let me get the grapes. All right. All right, next step. We need to add a 1/4 cup sugar into each of our jars. Step is to label some hot water, which I have in this pot here, into each of the jars, so that we lessen our chance of these jars breaking when we put them back into the hot water bath. And we want to bring the level of the water right up to the first ring here. You want to leave about 1 inch at the top of the jar. Perfect. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, now that we have our jars filled with grapes, sugar, and water, now it's time to use our lid lifter here. Isn't that cool? And we're gonna just set the lid on there. Whoop. This lid lifter has a little magnet on the bottom. Okay, now that we have all the lids on, we just want to put the rings on hand tight. Just like so. All right, the water is almost up to the boiling stage. I did leave out one important step here that I did off camera. I forgot to film it. After you've sterilized your jars and you put whatever you're putting in your jar, in this case grapes and sugar, you want to take a clean rag, a paper towel, and just go around the edge. You don't want any sugar granulars or anything that could cause the lid not to seal properly. So I apologize, I forgot to film that, but that's what you got to do just to make sure that you get that nice seal. So now that we're almost up to boiling here, I'm going to go ahead and take this lid off. Grab my jar lifter. I'm going to ease these in. All right, now it's just a matter of putting the lid on our canner and setting the timer for 20 minutes. All right, our time is up. We'll just turn this off. And now I can turn the heat down. And I'm just going to leave these in until this boiling water stops boiling, because I don't want to get myself accidentally burnt here. So, in fact, I may just move this over to the smaller burner here if I can, without hurting myself. That way it'll cool down a little bit there. All right. Once it's cooled down a little bit, then I will remove the jars, set them on the tile here, and then after they've cooled, I've got a Sharpie here on the top of the lid, and I didn't show that to you, but I'll show it to you when I go to write today's date on here. That way I'll know when these were canned. According to Ball, this should be good for up to 18 months. So 18 months from the day that you can your product, whatever that is. In my case, it's Concord grape juice. So I'll bring you back when we get to that stage. All right, I believe our water has stopped boiling. So I'm going to remove the lid here. Set that aside. Use my lifter to lift the jars up. Now the water here. All right, I'll let these continue to cool. I'm going to wipe the water that's still on the lid here, and then I'll bring you back, show you where I'm going to record the date, and then I'm going to store it in a cool place here in my home. Well, it's 9:46 in the evening. I had to take a break, fix dinner for me and the family. These have finally cooled down. I've checked each lid and they're all sealed on properly. I'm going to leave the rings on for 48 hours and then I'll remove the rings. That way I don't get a false seal later down the road. Let me bring you in close so you can see how they've constructed these lids, so you can put today's date, the date that you can, which for me today is the 4th of August. Let me bring you in. I don't know if you can make that out, but right there, there's a dash line with 2 backslashes so you can put the month, day, and year in which you can. So I'm going to put today's date. I'll put 8/4/25 so that we'll know that that's the date that I did it. And according to the box on the jars, it says that these are good for 18 months. So I'm sure it'll be gone way before that, the way my family likes grape juice, particularly my son Andrew. So let me go ahead and record the date on here. And I'm using a Sharpie permanent marker here. So we put 8/4/25. I'll do that for the rest of them. Now I've got all of the dates recorded on the lids. Now it's just a matter of storing them in preferably a dark, cool area in the house. And the longer that you let these sit, the more rich the flavor. Most of the videos that I saw out there on YouTube, most of the consensus seems to be anything more than a month or two, you should be good to drink. I mean, you can drink it sooner, it's just not going to be as good a flavor. So if you want maximum flavor, you want it to stay canned for at least 1 month, but preferably 2 to 3 months, and then you can be assured of having a good, rich flavor for your juice. That's all for this episode here on Hall Family Farms. Please be safe out there. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.